Colin Dennis. I work for Wolff Power and I'm the General Manager. With a composite fibre pole, I think the beauty is that it doesn't have imperfections. You know, they don't have knots in the poles, they don't have cracks in the poles. It is a manufactured product and you drill the hole where you want it and that's where it stays. Instead of having to use a candle hook and trying to work with all that weight, if you want to drill vertically, you can just grab it by your hand and rotate it, which gives you obviously a lot straighter holes, but number two, it's a lot easier on the body. It reduces the risk of poles falling off pole stands. It's just so much easier. So we fit all the hardware. We've got to remember that some poles require earthing, etc., which we can on CFT poles. They're no different to a timber pole. We can put a Tek screw through to hold the earths on, etc. So you make sure that obviously all the earths are in place, all the bridges pre-fitted if you can. The next step is to remove the overhead conductors off the timber pole and try and pull the timber pole out. So once we've lifted the composite fibre pole into place, it's exactly the same as a timber pole. We align the cross arm and the hardware to where it's got to go. The beauty again is it's light. We don't have to take weight with the crane to spin it. If it's a 12 kilonewton pole, we can utilise a web sling or a webbing candle hook and turn it with one hand. And then we backfill it as per the normal standards. So backfill it 100 mil with a hydraulic tamper until it's full. Once we've backfilled, obviously it's reconnect all the conductors. The lightness and the construction of that pole allows you to manoeuvre it with one person without crane help. The sling's been developed using a webbing strapping, and that sling has a rubber grip on it where it contacts the pole. Obviously chains are used on timber poles. Chains are heavy, they get hot, etc. These slings, because they're specifically designed to work with CFT poles, they're light, they're clean, they don't slip whether the composite pole's wet or not, and they can be utilised as a candle hook if you need to spin the pole as well. The pole itself, the functionality is exactly the same as a timber pole or a steel pole or a concrete pole. You reconnect exactly the same way as you would any other pole. In the lines we've constructed using composite fibre poles, it's been as per normal practice. The only two things that we have altered, number one is the sling we lift with, and number two are the drill bits we use. We've actually now started utilising the CFT poles on some of our sites because there's minimal maintenance on them. We're not worried about water ingress, we're not worried about them splitting open. The network owners are using them so that in the future they don't have to continue to replace them or they don't have to continue to inspect them other than a visual inspection. The largest risk is working at heights, but the second largest risk is manual handling. When you're lifting a 6x4 timber pole over your pole strap to lift it onto a king bolt, it's a fairly heavy weight. But when you start using composite fibre poles, that strain is gone. You can lift it pretty much with one hand and you have a lot more manoeuvrability. I think also when you transport them, it's simpler. You don't need heavy trucks, you don't need to worry about overloading the front axle of a borer because they're so light. At the moment, timber poles, you can only carry a certain size of timber pole on a borer because most of them overload the front axle. These poles, they're not going to overload your front axle, you'll be able to carry more of them, which is a big bonus. There's so many timber poles that need to be replaced, and again with the change of standards for conductor height, the availability of those poles, can you get it to the strength that you need to continue to build energy networks the way we do now? That's a question for the market, but by using a manufactured product like the CFT poles, then you're guaranteed that you can get the strength pole that you need and the height pole that you need. When the Wagners Composite Fibre arms come out, everyone wanted them. The utility we were working for at that stage only issued them to begin with for certain locations, but then everyone only wanted to use the composite fibre arms. And I see that once people start using these poles, they're going to be exactly the same. How easy they are to manage, how easy they are to construct. Everyone's going to be going, yep, can we have a composite pole, not a timber pole?